Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, co-founder of Phenom Publishing with Angela DeMarco, and I am here with Paolo Trepiccione, author of Forever Connected. We're going to have a little conversation today, talk about Paolo's book, about his motivation, about why he's so great, and the ins and outs of why you should pick up Forever Connected because it's amazing. Before I speak with Paolo, I have to tell you, we met Paolo, Angela and I met Paolo. I joke when I say by happenstance, but Paolo found us. He wrote his book. He was looking for a publisher and he found us. And at that time, Angela and I had just created Phenom Publishing, and we're publishing works of people that we know intimately. And I'm not going to lie, and Paolo, I'll tell you, I have never said this to you out loud, but when we got his manuscript, I was a little bit hesitant because I wasn't ready to bring in a new energetic footprint to what we were doing and to what we felt so strongly about. And in comes Paolo with his manuscript. And you know, we have a certain way of doing things. So I had him jump through many hoops, have X amount of readers, have X amount of testimonials, have this, that, and the other. And he had just a couple months to do it. And to the letter, to the day, he shows up with all of his stuff. And I said to Angela, I guess we're working with Paolo now. And I have to tell you, the moment I picked up that manuscript, to read it thoroughly, to truly understand the work of art that it is and the human being behind it, I fell in love with both Paolo and with the work. And I cannot say enough good things about who he is as a man, who he is as an author, and what he has created for us. And Paolo, I'll tell you directly, I can't thank you enough. So with that said, Paolo, welcome to Phenom, welcome to us, and welcome to Stardom. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm okay. I'm
Okay.
good. Chevrolet Jesus is here.
Chevrolet, I love it. With that said, I just want to jump right into it. I want to know, I could describe the book, it never ever as well as you could describe it. Tell me just, in a few sentences or however you want to describe it, tell me, what is this book about?
So fundamentally, the book is about it's a fictionalized version of a healing journey I went on, or the start of a healing journey I went on, probably from 2021 onwards. Fictionalized because I've always been a storyteller from when I was old enough to conceptualize how to tell a story, and I've always existed half in fictional worlds, and they're just things that I resonate with. And also, I think it's easier to draw parallels between what happens to us and also to a fictional account to make it more relatable to people. Because I could just sit there and have written this horrible grimdark account of what happened to me and all the subsequent muddling through to get myself to a sort of leveled off point. But I wanted to present it in a way that it's a journey. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, not technically an end because there is a sequel coming, but we'll talk about that later.
Spoiler alert: we are going to talk about that later.
Well, the leg of that particular bit of the journey. It's basically about, if I had to sort of give an elevator pitch about it, it's people undergo trauma, it lays them low. This is how I picked myself up out of the hole that I found myself in, and how I kind of put myself back together. I'm still not done with the process of putting myself back together, but things are better than they were post the trauma that started all of this.
Yeah. We're never done putting ourselves back together, Paolo. It is a journey throughout. Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because there are two protagonists, and what you do is you weave this story in such a beautiful way. jumping back and forth from one to the other. And I was curious when I was reading is I know the one character is very similar to you, but how much of either or both characters do you embody or embody you?
So the real world protagonist, with a few creative artistic license changes to how things are and how they were, is incredibly close to who I was/am at the time. I say was because I was, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to say this, but I was incredibly broken when I started that manuscript. I'm not incredibly broken anymore, so that's why I say the person I was. I am still, that iteration of me across time. The fictional, metafictional, I don't know, the other protagonist, because it's the weird thing, it's like he's a fictional protagonist within a fictional setting, so is he metafictional? Totally. I don't know. So he is a character that I created a long time ago, like 18, 19 years ago. It was a long time ago. For various tabletop roleplay games that I did at the time, and he just kind of stuck around and he kept evolving, and I always kind of jokingly said one day I'm going to tell this guy's story because he's just been through so much crap with me, and he was almost like a barometer of kind of how I was at the time and like things I was trying to work through. I guess I worked through him because some people need a kind of proxy to work through certain things. Like they can't put themselves; they have to kind of do it through some other means. And this is why I opted for a dual narrative, because one protagonist is approaching these things head on, like they're happening to him. The other protagonist is approaching the same problem, but from looking at it from the outside in, rather than, because this is the thing. There's a slew of self-help stuff out there. People are, oh, this really bad thing happened to me, and here's how I dealt with it. And it's like, I'm not trying to tell people how to deal with things. It's like this is what I went through. This is what I did to get out the other side. Here it is from two perspectives. Because like I said, some people might sort of look at the real world protagonist and go, I don't want to do any of that. But they might, in their heads, think, well, I'll create a proxy of myself and work through whatever your particular trauma is. And that's easier, but it does the work. That's the thing. You're not just sitting there in a daydream imagining, thinking, no. Like, honestly, if writing this has taught me one thing, you can't underscore how important imagination is. Like, it's not just daydreaming. It's not something that just kids exercise. No, we as adults need our imaginations, and it makes me sad when I see people so divorced from it because it's just a childish thing. I don't got to worry about that. Because when you've got a strong imagination, you can work through anything, absolutely anything. You can game it out. So that's why I I guess from a practical perspective, the real world protagonist, but I guess holistically both of them. They're two separate aspects of me.
Yeah. I tell you, Paolo, that's so profound. And as you're talking about this, I had a couple of different, my brain went in a couple of different directions. I'll share one with you. A few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Disney World with my family, and my younger daughter at the time, maybe she was 8. We were on it was an Epcot. We were on the Figment ride,
Yeah,
and they
Epcot,
sing imagination through the whole thing. And at the very end, and I was so taken with it because I'm connected in a lot of ways. I'm highly sensitive, we'll say, and my younger daughter is the same. So my older daughter, my husband, they go walk off, and my younger daughter turns to me as I'm all verklempt, and she turns to me and she goes, "You mean anything that we imagine, we can make happen?" And when I just got the chills. And when she made that connection, it's a game changer. People, like you said, they underestimate the importance of imagination. And without going on another whole tangent, but if you want to talk about the chakra system, our third eye, when everybody thinks that's magical, it's the allowance of our imagination to help create worlds for us. And the fact that you were able to go through such a traumatic experience, be in such the depths that you were, and then tap into your imagination and your creativity and create such a work of art for others, for yourself first and foremost, because it was part of your catharsis, right? But for others, there were so many different components to it that people could read the stories, connect with one or the other characters or both, and then see the process behind it and how important that is. I mean, I seriously take my hat off to you. It's just so beautiful. I do have a question about the two characters, because like I said, they alternate back and forth, and you can see each of them going through what they're going through and how it overlaps. And eventually towards the end, I don't want to ruin anything and how that pans out. But when you were writing it, were you alternately writing the chapters, or did you write the one and then write the other?
No, I writ them alternating. So I think one of the reasons I adopted that approach was because there is only so much grimdark I could commit to paper. That because I knew, certainly the real world protagonist, I knew his content was going to be heavy, and I just thought, I don't want to basically beat people over the head with, here's this awful thing and another awful thing and another awful thing, and it's like it. And like I said, because you've worked through getting this from manuscript to so you know how they kind of build one on top of the other. So I couldn't because and even the order that I started in was sort of informed by I guess almost a hesitance to kind of dive into what I knew would be difficult. I was almost like, I'm going to do this, but the reason I started with the fictional protagonist as chapter 1 was just like, let me kind of ease into committing things to paper, because if I'd have done it the other way around, it wouldn't have been an easy.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you make a good point there.
Cool.
I didn't even realize. Like, you begin with the fanciful, I'll call it, like the fantasy protagonist, and that makes total sense. But I'll tell you, the things that you were afraid to commit to paper were so heavy and so serious, and your bravery in doing so. I like I said, it's so admirable. And then you get to somewhere, I think it was around chapter 10, where you really start, I'm talking about the real world protagonist. You really start questioning. You start questioning religion. You start, questioning your relationships. You start questioning all of the things that I always say people were dealt a bill of goods, all the things that we're conditioned to believe. And you honestly, you take us on that journey of questioning each thing, looking into things. Oh, the dark night of the soul. What's that? Oh, inner child work. What's that? Oh, hypnosis. What's that? And you take us with you. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I do think that, or it is incredible, I should say. I think that there are so many people that are going to take something. I'm hoping everything, because it offered so much. And my question to you is, like, what is your true hope for people when reading this book?
I guess it would depend on why they've picked the book up. If they're looking for a good story, just a good fictional story to sink their teeth into, I'd like to scratch that itch for them. The main thing I hope for is if the reader is or has recently gone through something that has really knocked them down, and I mean really knocked them down. And I'm not talking about like a bereavement. I'm not talking about a job, like, you know, because if you want to take an absolute reductionist view of what I've written, you can absolutely do that. You can dismiss it as, you know, a couple of crappy things happened to this guy, his life, you know, and then he just kind of collapsed in on himself, you know, like, you know, suck it up, deal with it. That's fine. If you want to take that view, that's entirely up to you. What I sort of portray through the book is this can happen to anybody at any time over anything. You know, I've seen people come apart to the same degree I did, or worse, because of a relationship ending, because they lost a job, because their career ended, they lost their business. Things that other people can go, nah, I don't get it. Why has that affected you so badly?
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to depict through the book is you don't know what's going on behind, what's built up behind that person. Years and years and years of things that you just haven't dealt with, you didn't know how to deal with, you didn't want to deal with it. And then all it takes...
That's it, right?
All it takes is one day from hell to just bring it all crashing down on top of you. Doesn't matter what the event is. It could be, like I said, it could be a job loss, it could be a relationship, it could be someone could crash into your car and send you over the edge. We don't, you know. And so what I hope is people will see this, read it, and understand that if this has happened to them, it's not something you can't get out of. You can work through it. It doesn't feel like it, believe me, it doesn't. When you are in that abyss and you're looking up and you're thinking that little pinprick of light, I was up there once, you know. And so I want the book to give people who are going through all this stuff hope. Doesn't matter what your personal situation is. I couldn't write something that would encapsulate everything that could possibly go wrong in a person's life, because we are all individuals with our own unique set of circumstances, set of problems, people around us. You know, it's impossible. You can't factor for everything. But what you can do is you can say, look, I've been where you are. This is what I did to get out of it. Might not work for you. Some of it might work for you, some of it won't. But here's a basic set of tools to at least start the climb.
Well said, Paolo. And everybody can relate. Even as you're telling the story, I you know, how people, we carry all this baggage. We don't even realize we're carrying it until, you know, we knock into something and then everything falls out, you know. And I was thinking about when I was pregnant with my second daughter, I had, you know, carrying stuff for years. And I was at work and I got a phone call from somebody at my house that was doing some electrical work, and they took the TV off the wall and couldn't get it back on. And I had a nervous breakdown. Like I had to, I had to hyperventilate. I lost my mind. I had to leave work. Like I fell apart because he couldn't get the TV on the wall. And to the naked eye, it was about the TV. It was never about the TV. It was about, I could not handle emotionally, physically, spiritually, one more thing. And I completely fell apart. And it's easy for us to judge people and to, I wouldn't have fallen apart, but we don't know what others are carrying. And I think your book, this epic, beautiful story has encapsulated all of that. And I, oh my God, I just can't recommend it enough. And I know, Angela, who is listening to us right now, she's like, I love it too. Like, it is just an amazing, amazing, epic work of art. And we know, that, you've got another in the hopper. And, do you want to share, that with us at all?
I mean, I can share what's come to mind so far. So, there is going to be a second one. I am going to be changing the real world protagonist for a different one, just purely because it frees me up to explore other things I couldn't realistically explore with the first real world protagonist. The fictional protagonists are going to stay the same.
Okay.
Maybe there may be another one joining them, but okay. I don't really want to say too much about that.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna deal with themes of, I guess, reconciling the past, because the way Forever Connected ends for the fictional protagonist, you'll read it. If you read it, you'll understand.
I'm like, shh.
It opens up. Yeah. So So what happens there? He's got to work through that. And this is something that I want to, I guess one of the themes I want to explore with the reader is, exploring things that have happened in the past, and I guess coming to terms with the stuff that you can come to terms with, and just certain things that you can't change just have to be what they were. There's a lot going on up here.
Yeah.
In terms of,
but I'll tell you,
I've sent you some dialogue from one of the characters I plan to introduce in that book. It's going to retread some of the themes from the first one, but from a different perspective. But it's also going to explore other aspects of, I guess, the work, we can call it. Of just, it's part of the healing journey. Looking at the past and kind of seeing what the past was, rather than what we wanted it to be, what we think it was. It's gonna deal with that kind of themes among many. It does have a working title. It does have a working title. So the working title, this could change, because I didn't title Forever Connected until about 2/3 of the way through. So the working title is Forever Aligned.
Yeah, man.
With only one eye.
It's it's the I love it. Yay. Not 4 eyes. It's definitely the logic. It's the logical transition from the first one, because that's really, the first one is really somebody who dug themselves up from the depths of despair, and just kind of dusted themselves off, and was like, okay, I'm okay. Now what? And exactly. Forever Aligned sounds like it's the beautiful part 2 to that. And I'm I'm looking forward to it. I'm like waiting. So Paolo, thank you for talking to us. Thank you for finding us. Yeah, and thank you for all of it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And to anybody who's watching, please do yourself a favor, for lack of a better way of putting it. Find the book. You could find it on phenompublishing.com, and enjoy your journey. Just enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.